Okay, so the proposal preparation process basically is how you should get started and what should you expect when to propose. So just want to highlight again this timeline. I'm not sure if you have downloaded the observing tool yet. Can you raise a hand if you have downloaded? Okay, great. So yeah, so the observing tool is something that you need for proposing for ALMA, and we will have more time to explore it in the hands-on OT session later. But it is already released, and yeah, as I mentioned, the proposal deadline and the deadline to submit reviews are very strictly enforced. So if you're really planning to submit, just make sure you have these 2 dates on your calendar so that you don't forget. And yeah, so results will be out in October and observing starts on October. So as I also warned before, there is no such thing as late proposal. Like it's not whether like, even if your internet is down, like your power went out, they just don't accept late proposal. So if you want to submit proposals, please submit early and often. So you don't have to just submit, you can submit anytime before the proposal deadline. So even if you haven't finished all the details like the justification, you could always submit through the observing tool, like anytime. And you could always overwrite the previous versions. So yeah, so just a warning about this too, like don't try to submit the first time 5 minutes before the deadline, because even validating the proposals can take a lot of time, like all the observing tools. Okay, so for this presentation, I'll basically walk you through all the proposal checklists. And the first one is, of course, to read all the relevant documentation, including the call for proposals, the proposer's guide, and the ALMA primer, etc. And so, yeah, so all the documentation is on this almascience.org. So I would say the most important is the proposer's guide, because like when you're preparing for proposal, you have to follow a certain rules that is all listed on that guide. And so this is just some demonstration that like walk you through this ALMA Science website as I did before. Like proposal information are all under the proposing and the documentation tabs. And there are instruction videos, as I showed, like the ALMA primer instruction videos that have some interesting YouTube videos that you could look that teaches you about radio interferometry and some ALMA basics. And so the second thing, after reading the documentation, you will need to create or update your ALMA account at the science portal. So you will not be able to submit proposals if you don't have an account with ALMA portal. So here you can see to create an account, there is very faint like icon here that you could create an account. So I've heard from many people that this is super confusing. That so I thought I could maybe demonstrate it here. ALMA Science. So yeah, so this is a very faint person icon here that where you can register for login. And once you log in, for example, in my case, once you log in, then your name will appear on here, and you'll be able to submit proposals under your name. And then, okay, let's get back to slides. Okay, yeah, so after creating an account, reading all the documentation, now it's time to play with the observing tool. So first, of course, you have to download the observing tool. So that's under proposing tab, and there's the observing tool that you can basically install very easily. And yeah, so remember, users should always go to this SIAM portal to download and install OT, because sometimes there will be updates even when they release the latest version, because sometimes they maybe found some bugs or errors and they will update it here. So make sure you do download from this website. And there are OT instructional videos here as well under observing tool. There are video tutorials, but just keep in mind that these videos are actually not being updated. So this was based on like early cycle version. So yeah, just keep that in mind, but it will still be useful if you are new to the OT. And then, so after we have the OT, then we can start to prepare for science justification. And so there are a few types of proposals that we can submit. So I mentioned about, I was mostly talking about standard proposals, under 50 hours of 12-meter time. But there are also large programs, and you can ask for more time, but then it will be reviewed by the panel. And there's also a few, like one proposal I talked before, but there are also target of opportunity proposals, which means that you are not sure if you are not sure if that will happen, like something like that. But that's a very rare case. And if you do plan to submit those proposals, definitely contact the ALMA regional centers, and they will provide huge support on this. And so a bit instruction on the science justification. For standard proposals, it is a four-page PDF document that includes text and figures, and it has to be above a font size of 12. And this is strictly enforced because, like, for example, if you try to submit at 11 font size, the OT will automatically reject. No, not reject, like they wouldn't validate. They wouldn't allow you to submit that version of the proposal. Yeah. And yeah, so be sure you prepare within the dual autonomous guidelines. And keep in mind, because this is a peer review process, it has your science justification has to be written for a knowledgeable but broad audience, because you don't know who are reviewing the proposal. Although they try to do their best to like match to make sure like your proposals are reviewed from experts, but like this is not guaranteed. So you have to make sure to at least cover some introduction and background for your science case. And yeah, so and also like you have to demonstrate like why your observations are crucial for achieving your scientific goals. And I think NRO recently are working on, they actually improve a lot on matching the reviewer's expertise with proposals. Because like I have a strong feeling that when I submit proposals in cycle 9, I was given a lot of proposals that is actually not my expertise. But like last year, like it was much better. And the reason is that they started to use some machine learning algorithms, yeah, to see like what the expertise of each reviewer is, and that is working really well, I think. Okay, and Yeah, so the guidelines for dual anonymous review are under this proposing tab. And so you can see the ALMA proposal. Yeah, ALMA proposal review. And this is the, what's this? This is the proposal template. So here you can see more information on dual anonymous. And then we can start preparing science goals within the observing tool. So this part will involve more like technical stuff, like what is setting up your source, your frequency, how do you want your correlator being set up, like which band are you observing, what angular resolution are you targeting. So there will be more information on the OT presentation later. So yeah, this is what the OT looks like. And yeah, and one thing to note is that in addition to the science justification, there is also technical justification, but you should enter that in OT. So there's a technical justification part in the OT where you have to enter like your justification on, like, for example, why this bandwidth is used for like, calculating your sensitivity, or why you are choosing this particular angular resolution and largest angular scale. So you have to justify for that. And just a recap that you can resubmit a proposal as many times as you wish. So, and be sure you submit it early, because if you miss the deadline, like there's nothing else you can do. They will just reject your proposals. So yeah, so just keep in mind, submit, you can always resubmit the proposals and overwrite the previous version. And the last thing I want to emphasize is be sure if you have any questions, feel free to make use of the help desk and the knowledge base. So this is located here. There is help tab under the ALMA Science website, and there's knowledge base here and help desk here, where you can submit any questions related to either proposals or data. So the knowledge base is here, and it consists like a few FAQs, and also actually many questions is likely already answered there. So I encourage to check out the knowledge base first. And if it's not answered in the knowledge base, then you can submit a help desk ticket. And oh, and yeah, and there is also a face-to-face visit, which I mentioned. If you think you need to have a face-to-face visit for processing your data, you can also apply. Click here and send application. Okay, and finally, just a few notes after submission. So you can resubmit as often as needed, but just keep in mind the server is quite busy before the deadline, and proposal deadline is strictly enforced. And you will need to review proposals if you submit standard proposals. And this review has to be dual anonymous. And if you don't submit review, your own proposal will be rejected. And large proposals, in terms of large proposals, it's not under peer review, but with the panels. And yeah, all the proposals will be like assessed technically by JO and ARC experts. So for the peer review part, it's only reviewing the science part of the proposal. So the technical parts, it will be a group of people in the ALMA Science Center. And so also proposals will be assessed on the basis of the scientific merit. And so anyway, it's evaluated scientifically. And yeah, so expect the result come out in August, and all the change after you submit your proposals, all the change requests needs to go through the help desk. So just make sure you get everything correct before you submit a proposal, else it will be a bit of a complicated process. And if you do submit a proposal, then you can log into the Snoopy tool, which allows the PI of ALMA proposals to track all your ALMA proposals, including those you PI or you co-I. And if you do get the observations, the observing time schedule will also be on that portal. So it's a useful tool to track all the proposals. And so that would be all for the proposal preparation part. I hope this is helpful. But yeah, and hope some of you could also consider like submitting an ALMA proposal, like because or maybe just play around with this. Yeah. Okay, any questions before we go?
Yeah, I assume that the US and I don't know, Canada, Europe, and other countries that are part of the consortium have like a percentage of observing time. But what happens if you are from an institution who's not part of the consortium?
So there is no guarantee time for those institutes as far as know, right?
Outside of like NA, North America?
Yeah. No, I think even within NA, you don't have guarantee time. It's a fairly distributed, right?
Gosh, I'm not 100% sure, and I know the details of that qualification.
I think the Chilean community, I mean, if you are in like at the ALMA Center at Chile, I heard that you might have some guarantee time, but it doesn't really benefit if you are in North America, like East Asia. It's equally treated, as far as I know.
But then anyone can apply also. I think there's time that's not from any specific, or right, like people get time from Australia, for instance. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, we don't have to worry. So I think for all the things I talk about, only because the ALMA Ambassador Program is like is in charge by NYU, which is North America, and the purpose is to get a broader exposed in the North America region. So that they do require, if you want to apply, you have to be based at a US institution. But other than that, I think there's no difference whether you are. Oh, there is one. So yeah, for the page part support, you might need to be based to receive page part. But in terms of observing, like proposing for observing time, I don't know. Okay, if there's no more question, I think we can move to the next would be Science Talk by Michael.